Okay guys, this is a Fender jazz bass, and like I said earlier, most basses are going to fall into a couple different categories as far as the headstock goes and the way the strings go through there. This is what you would call a flat headstock. See how that goes like that? There isn't much of an angle there. The angle is produced by the string tree, which is this guy here. This guy. And you're going to see that usually it's just a little coin, but sometimes it's this type of string tree. This is like two little roller saddles on there, which I kind of like because they roll, and that's the way I roll. Okay, so again, let me compare it to like a Padula. This is my Padula fretless, and you'll see there's a big neck angle there. You see that? Very expensive to produce. Because, let's see if I can get this the right way. Because of this neck angle here, you have to, the neck has to be like a big, huge piece of wood, and they have to whittle it out, shave it down. So that's the big difference, okay? So let's go back to the Fender. First thing I do, grab a little gaff tape, because this is a black bass and I don't want to get it all scuffed up on the bridge. So putting a little bit of tape here, you can see that. You can actually see some marks on there, probably from one of my techs forgetting to do that. See those little scratches on there? I don't really care, honestly. Kind of looks cool with some scratches, but I'm just showing you this in case you have a brand new bass and you don't want to mess it up. See what I'm doing there? Okay, great. So now we're going to take the strings off. Now this kind of bridge is different than the Babbitts and different than like a modern bridge. This is a Leo Kwan Badass 2. Geddy Lee. A lot of guys use this for years, and they go right into a stock. You can replace them a stock bridge like very easily. I think they went out of business though, so if you have one, hold on to it. These are these high mass bridges. They kind of change the sound of the bass, but they don't rattle, and that's really where I'm at. I hate when I kind of play hard sometimes, and I don't like when it rattles. But here you don't have a quick release. You see, you have to kind of go through the whole string has to go through the bridge. So let's take these off. I'm going to use this guy. I'm going to go with the thick string first on this. Okay, now you have two options. You can just cut the string off if you want to keep the strings, and I suggest that because it's always good to have an extra set, even if you use in your gig bag, because if you're on a gig and a string breaks, it happens every once in a while, barely ever though. It's been decades since that's happened to me, but just in case it does, you have a pre-cut string ready to go on. Where if you had to, do the whole process from scratch and get a brand new string, it's going to take a little bit of time. So you basically be able to replace a used string onto a bass that has used strings already. So it'll probably sound actually a little closer. There you go. Another little trick I want to tell you is, if you're on a gig and you don't have time to change strings and your strings are really dead, a good little trick you can do is like just loosen the string and then turn it over here. And what will happen is, wherever the marks are, you'll see like little metal marks. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. That's really hard to see. You can see kind of in these little marks right there. I don't know if you can see them. I can see them, but they're like right there. That is the fret wire being worn down by the fret. Okay, so if you just turn the string to where you don't see them, that's, you can see in that light there. You see those little indentations there? If you just turn the string to the part that's not worn down, your strings are going to be hitting that surface like fresh strings. So I used to do that back in the day. I still do sometimes. So basically when you're turning it, you're looking to see the marks. If you see the marks, then the marks are on top, right? And they're not on the bottom where the fret is making contact with the string. So that's what you want. You want to be able to see these little marks. And all you do is, have the string kind of in tune, loosen a little bit, and then just turn it over here just turn the ball here until you find a spot where you can see those fret markings. And then Bob's your uncle. All right, so let's take these off. Okay, we're ready to put on some new strings. I'm going to be put on these 4-string set, ProSteels. I like these a lot. I like the nickels as well. As I said at the beginning, I use the nickels on fretless, but I also use them sometimes if I want a little more of a vintage tone, a little bit of mellower tone, like meaning I'm going to the studio tomorrow and the steels might be a little bright, where the steels might be perfect after about a couple gigs. But if I just want to kind of get a little more vintage, I'll go with the nickel. And also I'll go with the nickel if I have a bass that has like some older frets. These I actually had refretted, and these are stainless steel frets. I just like not having to worry about it. So now we're going to thread this into the bridge. Put this over here. Just go through there. And you'll find sometimes that when you go through the string, it'll kind of get jammed there underneath. So what you do is just bend it. Just go up like that with your finger. And then now the string kind of pops up like that. Okay, so there you go. Now here's a little trick that is kind of a must with Fenders. If you look at these string trees, these are really fat, as you can see. These are vintage sort of string posts. Okay, and you see how they're like, you see that they're not concave, they're flat like that, right? So they don't grip the string very well. And most manufacturers, they don't really make the G string. I wish they made it a little bit longer. So in this case, I'll move the camera for you. In this case, when I do my little right angle trick, all right, like that, you're gonna see that it barely makes it. It makes it, but I don't feel good about that. And I'll tell you why I don't feel good about it, because the hole is really large on these Fenders, as you can see. I think you can see that. And it doesn't grip really well. A lot of times this G string will slip out. So here's the trick. Take your wire cutters, bend the string. First of all, I'm going to get rid of that little wire right there. Okay. And now I just want to bend it like that. And the reason I'm bending it like that is I want to stick that into the hole and it's going to grip better. Now I'm not bending it all the way down. I might have to a little more now, but I start with that. And the reason for that is I want it to be kind of spring-loaded in there. I want it to hold better. So I stick that in there and you'll see, yep, it's not enough. So I have to go a little bit more. So now I'm bending a little more, you see. And there you go. A little hard to get it in there. That's what I want. I want it a little bit hard to get in there. If it's not, just pull it out, spread it a little bit, and try it again. That's good. That's really in there, okay? So now it's gripping really well. So now we're going to do a little right angle thing. And you'll see on these Fenders, it's just, they're a lot harder because it's this big area that you have to cover. And I'm putting a lot of pressure down here on the string. I'm not grinding it to the headboard. I'm not doing that. I'm just, the headstock, I'm not grinding it. I'm just kind of holding it taut as much as I can. And I want that winding, and I'll show you when I finish winding it. I want it all the way at the bottom, if possible. Okay. Do a little pencil lead in here. Pencils are made out of graphite. This is like you're putting graphite powder in there, and that just keeps the bone nut from wearing down prematurely. And now, let's get a little bit in tune. That's it. Now, if you notice here, you see I have barely any winding on there because these posts are so large, they take more string, and there's not enough string. So that's why we do that trick, okay? What I do want to do is I want to push this down, though. I want it down as far as it'll go. So use both of your thumbnails and just push it down. And it should look something like that. That's good. Okay, that's what we want. Okay, and that's why you have to do that little trick, because the G string's never long enough. Okay, now we're going to go to the D string. Same thing, we'll thread it through. Do my little right angle 90-degree trick. Now, like I said, these are bigger than the Goto tuners, so they need more winding. So what I do is I just, on these Fenders, I go to the next string. So if I'm putting it on this string, on this, I'm putting it on the D string, I go all the way to the G string. And that's how I know how far it is. Well, in this case, I have no string left, so I'm going to go ahead and just go right in. Same thing on this one. The hole's really large. I want to get an extra grip. I take off that little tiny bit on there and cut it off. And now I'm going to do a little right angle like that. And we're not clamming it down too hard. We're just kind of getting it there. Okay, let's see if that'll go in. It might not. Nope. We gotta go a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. A little too loose. Open it up a little bit. Close. Very close. There it is. Super tight. That's like hard to get out even by itself. I'm going to bend it down. Okay. And you'll see if you don't do that, man, this string just wants to slip out. You can't even put any pressure on it. So now we're winding it up. Okay. There we go. Being careful with the string here. Make sure everything's in line. It's on the saddle. I want to make sure that, of course, in the right place. Okay. Okay, good. Push down on the windings so it'll look like that. Okay, that's what you want. Okay, and what I was saying before about headstocks, like the majority of them are either it's straight or it's angled. You know, this is straight. Of course there's headless basses. There's other basses too. You know, there's tons of different designs. But I would say this is the majority of what you find. It's either this or the other way around. And this has, usually they have a string tree here. I'm not crazy about the string trees because they get loose. There's just 2 screws holding it in and has like a sort of a very high fulcrum point. And if you push that or hit the string tree a weird way, it'll pop out. And that's happened to me before. So these Fenders usually have a coin here, like a little round coin thing. But this is a little aftermarket thing you can buy, which I kind of like it better because it's on rollers. So I know there's less friction there. It tunes a little better. And if you're bending a string too, it allows it to move a little bit. Now we're going to put the A string on. And just again, I'm going to show you what I'm doing over here. When I put it in, as you can see, you know, if you just go like that, you can't get it all the way through. So I'm bending the string right here, right? And then see, now it goes like that. Save you a little bit of frustration, not too much. We do our little trick. Okay, I want to go to the string and a little bit past. I'm going to go to the next peg. So it's going to the A string, but on a Fender they're kind of fat, so I'm going to go to the next peg, next tuning peg, right there. That's our cutoff point right there. Cut this off. Okay, these strings are thicker now because that's the A string. I don't know if you can see that. Much thicker than the G string was. So what does that mean? That means I don't have to bend this one, because if I bend it, it won't even fit. So it's in there. It's a little bit loose, and you just got to be a little careful. So I'll kind of start the winding off here like this, and then I'll go to this guy. And if this thing's in the way, just turn it. We're out of tune right now. It doesn't matter. So let's wind this guy up. There you have it. We're making sure everything's in line. Okay. We push down. Push down because we want the angle as much as possible here because we don't have a string tree. Everything looks good here. Okay. Awesome. And now the E string. Okay, go through the bridge, and the wire. Okay, 90-degree trick, right? Looks like that. We're going to go over here. How far are we going to go? We're going to go to the next peg. We're going to the E string, but we want to go to the A string because of the fatter peg. That's the cutoff point. Snip the wire there. Be careful. Now this is, you know, on E strings they taper. I don't know if you can see this. So if you get a string like this, that's normal. It's fat, right? It's 100 diameter of 0.100 inches, and then it goes down, it tapers down. So we stick that in there. We do the right angle trick. Come around. You got to keep everything on the bottom again on this. So start tuning it up. You're looking good. Let's look at these string windings. Okay, we have, as you can see, the string isn't long enough to get too many windings on the G, so we have to bend the little end of it to stick it in there. We got 3 on this one. Again, we didn't cut the D string at all. You know, we just barely made it with that. And here's the A string. You got 3. All right, you can push that down even more. Okay, and now the E string has 3, and you see the nice taper on the E string. See how much of a taper you got there? So that's going to lock that string down. So your E string is going to sound better. If the E string was up here high, you'd have a flubby sort of sounding E string. And again, this is just years of doing this and having a horrible sound, and then you kind of improvise until you figure it out. Let's tune it up. Let's take off the gaff tape first. Gently pull it off. And you can use any tape, really. I mean, I wouldn't use Scotch tape, but like you can use artist tape or anything that comes off easy. That blue tape that painters use, that's perfect. Now we're going to tune it up. So let's put the tuner on there. I like this tuner better. And I'm going to start with the G string. Wow, that is... If you're new to this and you're not sure how high, which G it's going to be, I would probably just pick up another bass that you have, or a piano or something, and just so you don't go too far and break the string. I'm going to D, A. And remember, we're just getting in the ballpark. We're not fine tuning because everything's going to change until we have all the strings kind of close. Everything's going to change anyway. There's our E, E, A, D. Close, good. Come over here. I'm going to push down a little bit on these thicker strings, especially because you can see how they're just kind of riding that saddle. So this helps a lot with breaking in the string right there. Just that little thing. And also, if you don't do that, you're going to feel like, man, my action's higher than it was normally. And it's going to feel that higher than normal because of that little lip that's driving up there. So let's tune it now. And you'll see the lower strings will probably be out of tune. Here's the G. Close. D is a little flat. I don't know if you can see that. A better angle. Here's the A. Okay, here's the E. See how flat that went? Just from bending that at the saddle. All right. The only thing I didn't do, because I had done it like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, is I put this stuff on. And like I said before, this is a lemon oil, but it's also has a little bit of beeswax in it. And what it does is it lubricates and conditions the fingerboard, because this is an ebony board. And you probably have rosewood on your jazz bass or ebony. These are unfinished, so you have to do some kind of lubrication. And then the wax keeps the lubrication in. So when it rains and stuff, it has a hard time getting into the wood. And it really stabilizes the neck really, really well. So I like it. So see if you can find some of this. There might be some other manufacturer that makes it, but I know Ken Smith makes it, and maybe D'Addario does too. I'm not sure. Or you can use this stuff too. This stuff is really good, but it doesn't have any wax. So I do like to use wax on ebony and rosewood fingerboards. I think it does a lot better. Or if you have any kind of wood that's unfinished, like Venji. I don't know if you know what Venji is. It's African ironwood. I have a bass that's like that, and I like to use the Smith on there as well. Hey, so I just want to say this is the way that I do it. And there's plenty of guys out there who have been playing bass for a long time. Please put in the comments sections any other little tips you can think of just to help out our newbies so that they can get up and running a little quicker. Okay, very good. You're in tune. It's all rocking. If you want to strobe tune or adjust your neck or whatever, check out my other videos. I talk in depth about that. So, pretty much you tune this thing up, you adjust the neck, and Bob's your uncle.